driver of the number 11 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll jump right into questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start in the back there.
Denny back here, Sean Robertson, CBS 6 here in Richmond. I got two questions for you. Number one, as you get ready to prepare for the postseason, are you doing things differently this year to get ready as opposed to in years past?
No, I haven't. Not yet. Not unless something kind of new comes up, new information or things like that. I feel like my process is pretty refined at this moment, and kind of how I prepare for each race and each round, things like that. Not a whole lot has changed. So, I continue to just believe that if I do the best I can each week at my job, the team will do the best they can. We compete against ourselves most weeks.
And my follow-up, you've had great success here, and I know a lot of guys around the garage love Richmond Raceway. Would you like to, in the future, see this track in the postseason rotation in the future?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm biased, so of course I'd love to see Richmond in the playoffs, not only for the hometown reasons, but the on-track success certainly plays a role as well. So, yes, I would love to, but it really amounts to kind of how they want to put the pieces of the puzzle of the playoffs and the season together. That that the SMI and ISC will kind of see as fit.
We'll go to Bob, Lee, then Jordan.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. Are you familiar with this system that you can start using in Michigan that would jack your tire? And if so, do you think your teams will start using it?
I would think we would, unless there's some sort of big competitive disadvantage to it. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it other than I know it's available and I've seen kind of the apparatus that it is.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. I'm working on a Bristol story, so forgive me for asking out of sequence, but do you consider the night race one of the crown jewels at this point?
I mean, certainly one of the biggest races, for whatever reason. I think it just has gravitated that way because of how, more people seem to gravitate towards that race from a spectator standpoint, from a audience standpoint. So I think that naturally you could call it one, but I think it's up for debate. I wouldn't, certainly if you added one, there would be no other track that I could think of or race that would take the prestige of that one.
And what has been the secret to your success there, and does your approach change at all since it's a playoff race?
It doesn't change because, I just know that if you win there, you're moving on, right? And so I think is it still a cutoff race? Yeah. So, usually at that point of the first round, we kind of know where we're at. And, we're in a comfortable position, so it allows me to kind of race a little bit more freely. But ultimately, I just want to win there. And certainly we call races and I drive races on, the goal of trying to win and not be conservative.
We'll go to Jordan and then Nolan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What has stood out about Tyler Reddick since joining 2311 that maybe you didn't know about him that really kind of makes him an elite driver?
Yeah, I think that his ability to adapt is, I knew that he was good at it. Certainly he was good at several different racetracks, but his ability to adapt in race, that is, no one's got a perfect handling car, but he's driving the best of what you got is what I think he's really, really good at. And so he's gifted at getting speed out of a car, but even when it's not exactly right. So that to me is what the upper echelon drivers are able to do and why he's in that group.
After Riley Herbst won at Indianapolis, you tweeted that he was impressive. So I'm curious, what stands out about Riley Herbst that makes him so impressive to you?
Well, I was more speaking to the race itself and Riley's moves. The combination of the two was just super impressive. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat kind of watching that race and, seeing how it was all playing out the last 5 laps or so. And I thought that he made some great moves, great decisions, and controlled his car great. And so I just thought it was very, very impressive.
We'll go to Nolan and then Nate.
Yeah, hey, Denny. Nolan Knight with WRAC back here. Do you still get sentimental this week when you come back home to Richmond, or after all these years? Is it just kind of another race for you?
No, it's definitely not another race. I mean, I certainly come here with high expectations of myself, and expect a lot out of myself when I come here. So there's always a bit more pressure I put on myself when I hit the track here. But it's just not another race, just simply because of the hometown connection and my family and friends that come and visit. This is one of the few times that I make my way back to Richmond, so it's a chance for us to kind of get together, and so it's always special for that reason. And then I get to go on and put on a show on Sunday, which is always fun. So it's it's a special track. I mean, it's crazy over the years. It still drives the exact same as it did, I feel like, in my rookie season 20 years ago. It's just very unique, very technical, and certainly takes a lot of discipline to be good here. And so I watched some of the great short track racers in the Mid-Atlantic for many years around the short tracks of Langley and Southside, and that's what helped me, I believe, perform well at this type of track.
Nate?
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kind of following up on Richmond, but a more sobering question. The 2025 schedule isn't out yet, obviously, but there's been a report from Jordan The Athletic that this track is likely to be reduced to one race in the future. So, what are your emotions about that? I guess both as team owner, Chesterfield person, does this place deserve a second race, or has it just sort of evolved where you understand where NASCAR's at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand NASCAR's decision, because they ultimately, if the fans turned out here and we sold out every race, then there would be two races, right? So they're going to do things, that the fans want to participate in. What's just crazy is that, like, it's always one of our top 5 markets that watch us on TV, but don't actually come to the racetrack itself. So it's just... it's interesting. So there's plenty of racing fans around here, but just getting to the racetrack has been a challenge in the past. But I know that they've spent significant money at this racetrack with the fan experience, that I think has all been a really positive thing. But sometimes these are the cycles you have to go through. And so hopefully it's a learning moment for the track and everyone involved that can get this track back revigorated as one of the top short tracks that we have on our schedule. So, it certainly is a shame if it goes to 1 week, but the audience here has made it warranted.
We'll come right up here to Randy next.
Randy Hallman from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Denny, tell us about how you got Juan Pablo Montoya to race for you at Watkins Glen. How'd that come to be? Did he come to you? Did you go to him?
Yeah.
How did it work out?
Yeah, a lot of it came from Steve Belletta, our president, reached out to Juan first of all, and it started with a conversation with Mobil 1 and their connections to F1, and they had a connection with Juan in his past. So, a lot of this is geared around Mobil 1's 50th anniversary that, is certainly special to them, and we wanted to showcase certain drivers. They talked about up-and-coming ones along with champions of motorsports, and so we did that with Kobayashi and obviously Corey with the young side, and then Juan is the champion. So it's we've kind of hit all the boxes that we wanted to with that, and so we wanted someone that's going to be competitive as well. And Juan certainly believes that Watkins Glen is a track that he has got significant time at, and in the Cup Series, and believes that he can be competitive. So I thought it was a great collaboration between Mobil 1 and 2311.
All good. And we'll stay, Denny, right over here to your far right.
Michael Massey, front stretch. Roy Hendrick passed away last week, and I remember you saying that he was one of your big, someone you looked up to as you were getting started. I just was wondering your thoughts and on just him as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, sobering to, for him to pass away. He was certainly an instrumental part of, me, growing my love for the sport. He was part of the kind of the three-man battle at Southside Speedway each and every Friday night. Wayne Patterson, Eddie Johnson, Roy Hendrick. Those were the guys that constantly battled every Friday. And, with that famous Flying 11 that he had, that his dad had, it was a staple in our sport. And I know that when we did a throwback to him, I believe back in 2017 at Darlington, was able to win the race. He was able to be there in victory lane. And so it's just awesome to see how full circle it all went, being that, I was such a fan of his growing up, and now, he's wearing, the number 11 of the car that I was driving that day. And so, hopefully we're able to do some tribute to him here in the future at Darlington as well this year. So thoughts go out to his family, and, certainly it's one of the great short track racers that we lost.
We're going to go to Tim and then wrap with Peter.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Denny, I'm eager to get your thoughts. In 2028, the Olympics will be heading to LA. Do you think motorsports has a place in it?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. The only difference is usually in all the other sports, right, that the equipment is the same. I don't know how you would do it in a motorsports type of fashion, short of everyone having an opportunity in the same things. But we all know that, man, you change 1 degree of weather or something in it, and it could change the advantage that one has over another. So it would be very difficult. It would be very costly for the Olympic Commission to try to put something together for motorsports. But certainly, I saw some sports I didn't know existed this time around, and so would love to see motorsports a part of it. I just don't know how it's feasible it is, being that we all do drive different equipment.
Peter Stroud at TSJ Sports. Denny, you were in here right here. You were in here earlier for the David Wilson press conference. What's he meant to you throughout your career as a driver and now an owner? And
yeah, quite a bit. I mean, he was the one that believed in me from the very get-go. When I started 2311, I'll never forget the grocery store parking lot I was sitting in when I called him and asked him if he would help support this race team that we started. Early on in my career, we made this switch over to Toyota and TRD at Joe Gibbs Racing. He was an instrumental part of that being their flagship team and being the team that could carry the brand on for decades, and it has. And I think I definitely agree with everything that he says. That certainly he's made the investment and racing. They changed the game, and so you will not find another manufacturer that I believe there just isn't that spends as much money as Toyota North America does in not only the racing that you see on Sunday, but the grassroots racing. From top to bottom, Toyota is heavily invested in motorsports in the United States, and it's because of people like David Wilson that helped push that program to where it's at. So a lot of drivers, crew members all owe a huge debt of gratitude for David and what he's done.
Thank you very much, Denny. Best of luck
Thank
this
you.
weekend. All right, folks, great news. We are going to roll right into our Cup Series bullpen. We have a number of drivers.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.